Alright guys, in today's video we have a ton of PlayStation news and information to go over and talk about. So before we dive into these topics today, do me a big favor and hit that like button to help this video out and show your support. And if you are new to the channel, make sure you hit the subscribe button as well. I would certainly appreciate that. We're starting here though with a pretty significant announcement that PlayStation made today. That is the reveal of Ghost of Tsushima Directors Cut. This is something we talked a little bit about yesterday. I certainly was not expecting it to be announced the very next day, but this is reading from WCCF Tech, and they say several leaks have hinted this was coming, but today Sony and Sucker Punch officially announced Ghost of Tsushima Directors Cut, a new version of the game that adds content, PS5 features, and more. And they did release a new trailer alongside this announcement as well, which I will have playing in the background. It says here the headline feature of Ghost of Tsushima's Director's Cut is Iki Island, an all-new expansive area that will provide Jin with new adventures and stories to explore. If you're a history buff, you may know that in addition to Tsushima, the neighboring island of Iki was also invaded during this time period. Today we are excited to reveal that a whole new chapter in Jin's journey is coming and will take place on Iki. In this new story, Jin travels to the island to investigate rumors of a Mongol presence, but soon he finds himself caught up in events with deeply personal stakes that will force him to relive some traumatic moments from his past. We'll have more to share about the story of Iki soon, but today we can confirm that beyond a whole new story and new characters, the new island also features tons of new content, including brand new environments to explore, new armor for Jin as well as his horse, new mini-games, new techniques, new enemy types, and much more. There are even new animals to pet. On both platforms, Director's Cut will also offer new trophies to unlock for the new Iki content. In addition to the new content, new PlayStation 5 exclusive features are being added to Ghost of Tsushima, including full DualSense support, 3D audio, improved load times, and 4K resolution options. Perhaps the most interesting new feature is full Japanese lip sync, which is now possible due to the PS5 being able to render Ghost of Tsushima's cutscenes in real time. A free update will also drop alongside the Director's Cut, offering photo mode improvements, target lock-on, and more. Those who pre-order from participating retailers can grab a few bonuses as well. And when it comes to pre-orders and upgrades, Ghost of Tsushima Director's Cut will launch on August 20th for $70 on PlayStation 5 and $60 on PlayStation 4. You'll be able to pre-order digitally at the PlayStation Store or physical versions from various retailers. If you pre-order at participating retailers, you'll receive a digital mini soundtrack with tracks from the original Ghost of Tsushima, as well as 2 new songs from Iki Island, and a digital art book featuring a selection of art from Ghost of Tsushima, as well as 10 new pieces of Iki Island concept art. Pre-order at PlayStation Store anytime before launch, and you'll get access to download the PS4 version of Ghost of Tsushima immediately, so you can start experiencing the main game early and transfer your progress to pick up where you left off when the Director's Cut launches in August. If you already own Ghost of Tsushima on PS4, you can pre-order an upgrade to Director's Cut on PS4 for $20. This upgrade will become available starting on August 20th, and starting on August 20th, if you bought the Director's Cut PS4, you'll be able to upgrade to the Director's Cut PS5 at any time for $10. You can also upgrade directly from the original Ghost of Tsushima PS4 to the Director's Cut on PS5 for $30. So to simplify that, it will cost $20 for the expansion itself on PlayStation 4, and if you want the PlayStation 5 upgrade by itself for Ghost of Tsushima, that's $10. But if you want both for PS5, that's going to be $30. So essentially $20 for the expansion, $10 for the upgrade, which I think is perfectly fair. It seems like there's a pretty good amount of content here. And as usual, you see people complaining that it should be free, so on and so forth. And I just don't agree with this at all. I feel that there's clearly a lot of work and effort and development time that has went into this. And I think it would be kind of crazy to expect something like this completely free of charge, but still it's $10. It's nothing major. It did require extra time when you think about all of the features that the PlayStation 5 is going to offer. And so all in all, I have to say that I am very much liking what I'm hearing with this Ghost of Tsushima Director's Cut. This sounds incredibly exciting to me. It's crazy to me that it's coming out on August 20th. That is very soon. It's worth noting there was no mention of a PC launch. That's something that a lot of people were expecting to hear about, but it seems that that's not happening. This is just a new expansion as well as a native PS5 version. And for me, this is a day one purchase. I'm going to replay the game on PS5 and experience that native PS5 version. And I'm obviously very excited to play the expansion as well. So let me know down in the comments what you think of this and whether or not you're going to be buying it. But we're moving on from that and talking about something that a lot of people are curious about. It has to do with the acquisition of Bluepoint Games. Now today, Sony did announce another new acquisition. It wasn't Bluepoint Games, it was another studio, and we're going to talk about that in a moment. But I have to talk about the Bluepoint Games situation because people are now thinking that maybe Sony didn't actually acquire Bluepoint Games, because apparently the Bluepoint Games Twitter updated their bio stating that they are fully independent, and they also updated it on their job listings as well, making it clear that they are fully independent. And this has led to a lot of people thinking, well, I guess, I guess that they're just not actually going to acquire Bluepoint. But I think people need to keep in mind that this doesn't really mean anything. In fact, it makes complete sense that they would want to do this in order to get people to stop talking about it, get people off the trail. I say this because this was obviously an announcement that was meant to be saved and not accidentally revealed by Sony's Japan PlayStation Twitter account. And, they made a completely new image for Bluepoint Games. That's not something that's done by accident. The cat's pretty much out of the bag, and I understand that Sony and Bluepoint want to put it back in the bag, but you can't. It was a mistake. It wasn't supposed to happen yet. And so I just want to let you know that I really wouldn't take anything from this. It's anybody's guess when exactly Sony's going to announce this. Maybe they're going to save it for their event or whatever. But, I just wanted to talk about this because, again, we have another new studio acquisition today that's not Bluepoint Games, and that is PC porting specialist Nixxes, I think, if I'm saying their name correctly. Now, I never heard of these guys before, but apparently they're very good at what they do. They specialize in PC ports, and to me, this is very obvious that Sony is getting very serious about porting PlayStation games to PC. I know that not everybody's on board for that, but at this point, I don't think it matters. And I'm just going to be honest. If you're somebody who's upset about it or you think it's a mistake, you got to let it go, because this is what Sony's going to do regardless of how you feel about it. You don't have to support it, but at the same time, I would just try to look at it from a more positive perspective. This is going to allow more people to experience these games that we enjoy, and it will make Sony more money so they can continue to invest even more of that money into future projects that they end up making. But there's no denying that this is a very serious acquisition, and from what I've heard from people who are familiar with this studio, this is a very talented group of developers who are very good at what they do. And so, yeah, it's just one of these situations where if you were maybe doubting that Sony wasn't serious or isn't serious about pursuing PC and expanding to PC in a significant way, this is a huge move by them that should tell you pretty much everything you need to know. And again, I know not everybody's on board with it, but this is just the reality of the direction that Sony's going in. And I think it's going to be okay. I really do. I at this point don't care anymore about, PlayStation games going to PC. I do think that it would be in Sony's best interest, as long as they're selling a game console like the PS5 or any consoles they sell in the future. I think it would be in their best interest to continue to prioritize that, and certainly not prioritize PC, and try to deliver some experiences on that console that you can only get on that console, kind of like what we're seeing with Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart. And then if they want to, port older games over, or some games that just make more sense on PC, then they can do that, and I think that that's the best mix. I think that's like a healthy mix of getting the best of both worlds, I guess you could say. But one thing I do want to point out about this new studio, Nixxes, that Sony acquired, is apparently they're hiring for a game director. And this is interesting because, these guys are not known for original content. Again, they're known for porting games over to PC. So it's interesting that they would be looking for a game director. And the job description says, we're looking for a highly collaborative, passionate, and skilled game director that can support our content creation teams in our studio. Our projects are a collaboration between multiple studios driven from our partner studio in the US. The game director will work together with stakeholders at our partner studio, as well as in partnership with the art director in-house, to create and guide the consistency in game direction of the project. So this could just be for, again, porting PC games over, but a lot of people notice this and they're like, oh, maybe maybe Sony hired these guys because they want to start making original games and they're very talented and they already know how to make games for PC as well. So it's just something maybe worth thinking about. I just wanted to highlight that for you guys. But we're moving along here and we're talking once again about the long rumored PlayStation event, which I know some people are getting tired of hearing about it at this point because it's just like, well, if it's going to happen, Sony's just going to announce it and we should just wait for them to announce it. And I do agree with that. But there's just a few things I want to highlight here. First of all, we have an apparent insider. I don't know how trustworthy this individual is, but apparently he has some type of track record. Apparently he's known in the like From Software and Souls community to have some inside information of some sort. His name is Souls Hunt. I believe he also recently talked about the Bloodborne PlayStation 5 PC remaster, which I think is going to happen. But he said recently, for those who may be in doubt, Sony has a big event planned for the PS5. It's just a matter of days. And I just think it's worth, pointing this out because we're getting closer and closer. And who knows, by the time I get this video out, maybe Sony would have announced it already, which I'll obviously have to make a separate video letting you guys know about. But the reason why I felt the need to talk about this one last time is because with the announcement of the Ghost of Tsushima Directors Cut, it has led a lot of people to think that, well, I guess this doesn't bode well for the supposed upcoming Sony event. And it has led to a lot of people believing that Sony's not going to have an event. They're just going to keep revealing this stuff through the blog post. And I want people to understand that that's not the case here. In fact, I think it might be the opposite. Sony might be revealing this during a time like now where they're not having an event and just randomly, out of nowhere, because their event's going to be massive. They have to make sure that every minute of that event counts and they have to only put the best of the best in that event. That's my assumption anyway. But I want you to understand that when we were reading from the blog post about the Ghost of Tsushima Director's Cut, they did say that they're going to reveal more soon. That could very well happen at this upcoming PlayStation event. Also, keep in mind, Death Stranding Director's Cut is something that we are supposed to be seeing very soon. So again, it's likely we're going to see it at this event. I just wanted to take a moment to update you guys on this, let you know that apparently another supposed insider is claiming that this event is right around the corner. And I just wanted to kind of point this out to those of you who maybe are feeling a little bit doubtful with this Ghost of Tsushima Director's Cut reveal. But speaking of the event and speaking of Death Stranding Director's Cut, we are going to pay a visit to Hideo Kojima's official Twitter because there's definitely some very interesting things happening over on his Twitter account. Now, I want to let you know there aren't any announcements of any sort coming from his account, but there's definitely some interesting things happening that, I think are worth paying attention to. So over on his account, he says, "On planning," and he posts a photo. And it's interesting because he has a mouse pad that features Sony's Hermen Hulst, which is pretty crazy. And Hermen Hulst actually responded to this tweet saying, "Good morning, Kojima-san." And, you have to think to yourself, well, what exactly is Kojima planning right now? If I had to guess, I'd say he's getting ready to edit another trailer or maybe a gameplay trailer for Death Stranding Director's Cut. In fact, I think he actually said that he was going to be using his editing machine, as he calls it, I believe. So I think that's what he's talking about here. But what's also interesting is apparently Kojima felt like reminiscing a little bit about the Metal Gear Solid series that he's obviously very famous for, and he's the creator of it. And he said about 11 hours ago, as at the time of this recording, MGS won a boss battle on the rooftop of a tower building. The player searches for the direction of the rotor sound in stereo in order to locate Hind D, but when the player is playing in mono, the kernel complains. And so, a lot of people are happy to see that he's talking about Metal Gear, and again, it's just creating this situation where it's the timing of it, and people are like, wow, it's interesting, right? Like, it's interesting. There's just been so many rumors of a Metal Gear remake of some sort, and he actually continued on by saying, "I also use the controller in various ways. Mantis, of course, and Naomi gives a vibrating massage when the player gets sore muscles from Ocelot's torture. I had to check with Sony to get their approval for this." And, again, he's just kind of reminiscing about Metal Gear Solid 1 and some of the gimmicks, right, that it's known for. And it's interesting because maybe it's just me, and maybe it's just because I'm desperate for a Metal Gear remake or something related to that. When he talks about, the Hind D and having to use the sound to locate it, it makes me think he's talking about what they could do with the PlayStation's 3D audio, right? And when he's talking about the controller vibration with the encounter with Mantis and with Naomi, it makes me think of the DualSense, right? So I just wanted to point these out because, I don't know, it's very interesting to me. He talks more about Metal Gear Solid 3. He talks about the battle with the Sorrow in Metal Gear Solid 3 and how the soldiers you take out come back as ghosts. And again, it was just interesting timing to me. He's clearly making it known that he's getting ready to show more Death Stranding and whatnot. And yeah, I just, I thought I would just highlight this for you guys and let you know what's going on over on Kojima's Twitter account. So I will say it's very interesting to me that there are these rumors about Kojima potentially going to Xbox or having his next project be done through Xbox, and yet the man is posting a photo of his mouse pad with Sony's Herman Holst on it, and Herman Holst is talking to him. Herman Holst name drops Kojima Productions when talking in his latest interview with the PlayStation blog. It's interesting. It's just interesting to follow this. But we're going to move right along here and talk about some performance that the PlayStation 5 is offering that is apparently it's doing better than the Series X with a new game release. Now, I'm going to be honest with you guys. I have not been paying much attention to this stuff these days because I've just been busy playing games on my PlayStation 5. I'm more than happy with it. It's not really so much about whether the PS5 is better than the Series X or anything like that. But, occasionally I do come across these articles, and there are games where the Series X has an advantage as well. But I just found this one interesting. Apparently, Scarlet Nexus doesn't hit a steady 60 FPS on the PlayStation 5 or the Series X, but performance and load times are slightly better on the PS5. So this is reading from WCCF Tech, and it says Scarlet Nexus performs well on both the PS5 and the Series X, but it seems like the game performs slightly better on Sony's current gen console. A new tech analysis video shared by Digital Foundry highlights how the game by Bandai Namco uses dynamic resolution to keep the frame rate as close as possible to 60 FPS. On the PS5 and the Series X, the resolution rarely drops below 1440p, while it gets as low as 900p on the Series S, with the highest resolution being 1440p. Even with the dynamic resolution, however, Scarlet Nexus doesn't hit a steady 60 FPS in cutscenes and combat scenarios on any current-gen console, dropping in the 50s when there's a lot happening on screen. The performance of the PS5, however, seems to be slightly better. Load times are also slightly faster on the PS5. And so, again, I don't think this is that big of a deal, but it's hard not to point this out sometimes because we are much further into the generation now. These consoles have been out for, over half a year, and, there was just so much conversation about the differences between them, and it seems that there's really just not any at all. And I talked about this when the PS5 first launched and the Series X first launched, how there were multiple games, seemingly more games, that were performing better on the PS5 than the Series X. And we were told at that time that it had to do with tool sets and developers had to get familiar with it. And it's like, well, we're like 7 months out from these consoles launching, and we're still not seeing this big gap or even a significant gap really at all that's supposed to be here. And we're still seeing the PS5 offer some advantages with some multi-platform games. And it's not necessarily to rub it in anybody's face or anything like that, but it's just, it feels like it backs up what I've been saying about the PS5 this whole time, and that is, it's a perfectly capable console, and that it's going to hold its own, and if there are any differences between these two, they will likely be negligible. Even in this case, even though it performs better on the PS5, it's still mostly negligible, right? It's not like a big advantage that the PS5 has, but it goes the other way as well. We have two consoles here that are basically neck and neck in a lot of ways, but it's just so interesting to me that we're still seeing this. Even if it's just for one or two games here and there and it's occasional, you know, based off the conversations that were happening last year, you would have thought that this was something we would have never seen, let alone 7 months into the next generation. So I don't know. I just wanted to take a moment to let you guys know about that. So that's going to do it for the video, guys. I hope you did enjoy it. I hope you did find it informative. Again, if you did, leave it a like, subscribe if you're new. Make sure you leave your thoughts down in the comments below, hit the bell notification icon, and feel free to share this video out on top of all that. But until next time, guys, take care.